some of the videos that I posted, I've had some people respond to me and ask me questions about this whole concept of giving up the God as the Savior, this person, this entity up in the sky that is going to save you, giving up that understanding to embrace the concept of the source consciousness, which is the expression of the fact that we are all expressions of the one consciousness. And that puts us in a greater position to take greater control over our lives and make our own outcomes come to fruition versus doing negative things, acting inappropriately, and then asking something to save us from our own inappropriateness. So let's be clear. What I'm saying is not necessarily saying that there isn't a God. I'm not preaching a atheistic approach. What I am saying is that through time we must evolve our relationship to the source. And so, for instance, just like as parents, as children to parents, we start out extremely dependent to our parents, but as we get older, as we get mature, as we get wiser, that relationship changes to a point where we become somewhat independent based upon the strength instilled upon us by the parenting principles of our parents. And so it's kind of the same thing that happens within this 25,000 year cycle that we're in. Throughout this 25,000 year cycle, we'll start out in a position by which we're completely dependent upon this particular entity, and therefore people that are completely in a dependent state where consciousness is functioning at that lowest state by which it has to be managed, they relate to this entity as God, this entity outside of them, this father figure, that's going to save them. Once you evolve to a higher state of consciousness, your relationship to the source conscious, the creator, changes. From this particular standpoint, you take on the identity of an expression of the source, manifesting as the source in your life, by which you are seeking to gain control over your life and do different things as that with using that power behind you. And so we're just talking about an evolution of the relationship to the one entity. Throughout time, we call this entity God, Allah, whatever you want to call it, but as we grow in spiritual maturity, as we grow in consciousness, our relationship to this one thing changes. So in the age of Aquarius, we're taking on the identity of being an expression of the source, which gives us our own unique powers over our life. And therefore we have to take on that identity to tap into those powers, because as things change within this particular cycle that we're going into, we're going to need greater access to our powers.